Good evening. Tonight, I'd like to talk to you all about the service industry and what is really running underneath all of it. It's not as bright, shiny, and happy as we all think it is. In order to convey my understanding that I have of it now, I think the best way to go about it is telling it in the form of a story to avoid any undue legal bullshit. So, one day, there was this place in a faraway land called the Happiness Factory. The Happiness Factory had to deal with a very serious problem. There were all kinds of unhappy people everywhere. And people thought, if only I had a little happy sauce, it would be better. Some hot food, bright lines, clean countertops. Not like what I suppose most people have inside their own homes. It's messy, cluttered, lived in. They want this sterile, ornate sort of inhuman vibe for some reason, because it reminds them of everything that they're not. Perfect packaging, smiling workers, and these legendary little cups of happiness sauce handed to you through these little windows like holy relics of American convenience. Everything shines on the outside. The logo, those cool neon lights. And that's how the spell works. Because if you only look on the outside, the Happiness Factory looks like civilization's winning. It looks like order out of chaos. Looks like efficiency, right? Like cheerful young people learning a work ethic. Yeah. It looks like the American dream in a fucking polo shirt. But underneath the shine, we all know there's another machine running there. And that machine does not make food. It eats people. Not all at once. And that's the thing of it. We don't really see it as slavery anymore because there's not any whips and chains. That would be too obvious. We have laws against that type of shit now, right? That would be bad for the brand. No. This machine eats people by the teaspoon in measures. A little dignity here, a little of the nervous system there, a little of your voice through a script, a little bathroom break you can't have, a little forced smile when you don't want to at all, a little, I'm happy to help. My pleasure. Can I get you anything? When there is no pleasure in the body at all whatsoever. All these little teenage souls told to absorb the anger of grown adults who've decided that being hungry on a fucking road trip gives them the right to be cruel. And the worker, well, they're expected to stand there glowing like the brand candle while the mob comes through wanting happy sauce and emotional obedience. And that's the thing I want to name tonight. It's not just stress or customer service or the work's just too hard for you guys. No. The wound I'm calling out is what I'm terming cumulative emotional abrasion. It's cumulative emotional abrasion. And that's what happens when a person is slowly sanded down by hundreds of small negative interactions while being forced to maintain a cheerful, fast, submissive, and available demeanor. And it's not one big dramatic event, and that's why people miss it. It's not always an obvious threat where the law can come in and stop it. It's not always screaming in your face or something that looks good in a lawsuit. It's the 1,000 tiny cuts, the eye rolls, the sarcasm, the contempt, the impatience, the lines going around and around the block like an ant death spiral, all the little humiliations. The adult who knows the worker cannot really answer back the way they genuinely want to, the way their soul screams at them to, out of self-respect and morality. And these adults use that imbalance to feel powerful for 30 seconds over a fucking cup of sauce. Each cut can be dismissed. The customer was only a little rude, right? That complaint only took a minute. That's just part of my job. Hey, I just work here. Don't be so sensitive, man. But the body does not experience a shift as isolated little moments. The body experiences accumulation and humiliation. A single mosquito bite is not a crisis, no. But 1,000 mosquito bites? That's a fucking condition, man. One rude customer might be annoying. Sure, you can deal with that. Hundreds of rude, impatient, entitled, dismissive interactions under a forced cheerfulness becomes occupational harm. Frequency changes category. And that's the first artifact. Frequency changes category. If someone breathes a little smoke one time, maybe they're fine. If they breathe smoke all day, every day, we call that a hazard. And yes, I know how ironic that is while I'm smoking a cigarette here. But for those people that choose not to, that don't have a choice, when the smoke is emotional, somehow everybody gets stupid. Suddenly the worker is supposed to be more resilient, thankful for their paycheck. Suddenly the teenager is supposed to have a nervous system of a combat monk. Suddenly crying in the break room is not evidence that something is wrong with the machine. It's treated like evidence that something is wrong with the worker. They're not serving hard enough. And that's the moral inversion we're identifying. The worker's breakdown may not mean the worker is broken. It may mean the system is breaking workers. And here's the wild part. Science already knows this. It just uses softer language because science has to wear a little tie and behave itself at the dinner table. We're not doing that here tonight, ladies and gentlemen. The National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health defines job stress as harmful physical and emotional responses that happen when the requirements of a job do not match the worker's capabilities, resources, or needs. Now listen to that again. But don't hear it like a government sentence. Hear it like a bell. Harm happens when the job demands more than the human being has the resources to give. It's not possible. Yet you're expected to do the impossible to earn your check. That is the happiness factory. It's not that every worker is weak. It's that the machine asks the human body to do inhumane emotional math every day. Stand outside, talk constantly, be loud over the roar of engines, to move fast, to take the orders, to remember the details to a T. Absorb all of the anger and misery of those people on their road trips or going to work in the morning or coming home from their shift. Identify the cars, smile at strangers that you don't even know. And don't mess up the happy sauce. Certainly don't ask for too much relief or the need to go to the bathroom at the wrong time when the line is long. And don't lose your voice from talking for 8 straight fucking hours. Because you got to come back tomorrow and do it all again, baby. Don't show the wrong face. Don't show your face, your real face. Wear the mask. Keep yourself bottled up. And let it out when your shift is over. Don't ever become visibly human. And if you do become visibly human, if your voice gets out even a little bit or your face drops, you cry in the break room. If your body finally says, "No, I've had enough of this fucking shit," well, then suddenly the system looks at you like you failed. No, you haven't. The system failed to design work around the actual creature called a human being. Researchers have another phrase for this world: psychosocial hazards. Sounds sterile as fuck. Sounds like something printed on a PDF no one reads. But it matters. We're going to talk about it. A psychosocial hazard is basically a workplace condition that hurts your mind, the body, your relationships, even at home. It's not like you just forget all that when you come home to honey. You're carrying all that shit with you. What about the sleep deprivation? What about having to close and then come back in the morning and open bright-eyed and bushy-tailed with 2 hours of sleep? These scientists have warned that these hazards can contribute to burnout, depression, sleep disturbance, high blood pressure, and suicide. That should make us stop and rethink what the hell we're doing here exactly. Because when young people are crying in break rooms at work, and that's just normal, or when service workers are going home just dead-eyed, staring into video games or pornography, you've got people out here losing their voices and being treated like broken fucking equipment. We're not just talking about vibes anymore. We're talking about occupational health. We're talking about the body keeping score, and you can't get around that no matter how much money's involved. We're talking about human beings carrying the battlefield home in their nervous system, and they can't shake it out. Another scientific term that'll probably put you to sleep is emotional labor. That's when your job doesn't just buy your hands, your time, and your attention. It buys your emotional display. Or in my words, your soul. It buys your smile and the tone of your voice. It buys the brightness that you have to put on when you don't feel bright at all. It buys the little performance that says, I'm happy to serve you. Even when your actual soul is couched in the back of your chest whispering, please God, let this fucking rush end and these people go home and cook themselves. And especially the poisonous version. Its scientific term is called surface acting. Surface acting is when you show an emotion you don't actually feel. It's acting. But it's not fun. You're not getting paid $1 million fucking bucks for it. You smile when you're angry. You apologize constantly when you are disrespected. You say, I'm doing great, when you're absolutely fucking not doing great. You say, my pleasure, when your body is not experiencing it at all. Your voice is strained, your feet hurt, your bladder is full, and someone is mad because their little cup of happy sauce didn't materialize with sufficient reverence. Researchers have found that surface acting is linked to emotional exhaustion, which again should not require a grant-funded study to fucking understand, but here we are talking about it. If you split a person in half all day, outside face happy, inside body distressed, that split has a cost. The mask you have to wear has a cost. And that's the second artifact that you can take with you and put in your pocket. The mask has a cost. Every fake smile under disrespect spends something vital to you. Every forced cheerful answer under humiliation spends something in your soul. Every time the worker's real feeling is shoved down so that the customer can preserve their little bubble of comfort, the worker pays. And here's where the happiness factory becomes more than just a fucking restaurant. You see it in airlines and hotels. You see it everywhere where people are serving you. It becomes a symbol of a larger American trick. Because we like to tell ourselves we're free. This is the land of the free, baby. Here we are, home of the brave. And in one sense, sure, the worker's free. And in one sense, free to quit. Free to lose their job. Also free to lose their fucking car. lose the apartment, free to lose the fragile little platform they built under themselves. You're free to fall through the trap door and become another person everybody steps over while saying, should have made better choices. That's a cute kind of freedom, isn't it? Very marketable kind. The old Dominion said, you cannot leave. You're my slave, bitch. Whips and chains, motherfucker. The new Dominion says, you may leave into ruin. The old Dominion had those chains. The new Dominion has bills and psychological warfare. They just pushed it back a little bit into the landscape of the mind. You're not physically bound, just mentally and financially. Rent, car payment, insurance, gas, food, taxes, medical care, debt. The terror of one missed paycheck, turning your whole life into a Jenga tower in a windstorm. And the machine says, see? It's voluntary, guys. It's fucking adorable. Son of a bitch. That's the grand vampire trick of the modern age. No whips, no chains, no overseer on a horse somewhere. Just hunger. Just housing. You're free to go be a hobo if you don't like it. We've lied to ourselves saying this is what being a productive member of society is all about. Just the knowledge that if you rebel too hard at the wrong time, without a rope around your waist, or if a million people don't love you as a fucking influencer, the land will invite you to become a ghost. So, I don't call this chattel slavery because words matter and history matters. But I will call it what it is. Marketed, coerced, emotional servitude. A system where people must sell not only their time and their labor, but their cheerfulness, their emotional honesty, their ability to answer truthfully from their soul, from their heart, their right to not be humiliated, to live the way they want to. Because the alternative is economic collapse. The customer asks, how are you? Why? And the worker thinks, do you honestly want me to answer that? Or do you want the happiness factory answer through my mask? Sometimes the customer knows. Sometimes the customer knows the worker's wearing the mask and they prefer it. They see it slipping and they go talk to the manager about it. That's the part that makes my skin fucking crawl. Because some customers are not just there to eat. They're there to be served. Not helped, not fed because they're hungry. Served. There is a difference. To be helped is human. To be served, in the corrupt sense, is hierarchical. It says, I'm above you, bitch. You're below. I consume, you perform. I demand and you adapt. I'm real. You are a role. That is customer sovereignty. Customer sovereignty is the belief that the customer's comfort outranks the worker's dignity. Not that customers should be treated well. Of course, customers should be treated well. But customer sovereignty, that goes further. The customer is always right. But at what cost? I'll tell you the cost is your soul. It says the customer's irritation is sacred. Yours is not. The worker's pain is inconvenient. It says the customer may be impatient, rude, dismissive, entitled, insulting even. And you give them free food and happy sauce to shut them up and get them out the door. It's negotiating with terrorists. And the worker must convert that poison into sweet politeness. It says customer emotion matters because the customer has the money that pays your bills. And the worker emotion must disappear because the worker needs that money. That's not service, people. That's servitude wearing a name tag. You've got strangers calling you by your name, treating you like garbage. And that's where the vampire stack appears. At first, the system drains people. It numbs them. It invites them to survive by becoming vampires themselves and rise up in the ranks of the business. Drain, numb, convert, reproduce. That's the stack. Young workers from high school come in soft, wide-eyed, alive, wanting to do a good job and prove themselves. That's what's sad about it. Then they get hit with the rush, the pressure, the customers, the scripts that you have to fucking say, and the impossible expectations of serving the mob of hangry motherfuckers out there. They are drained. Then they learn not to feel so much and disassociate. They go numb. I've seen it. The light in their eyes just goes out and they get a promotion. Then if they stay long enough, if they want to survive, if they want to move up, if they want to not be the one bleeding anymore, the system whispers, bite downward. Become the shift lead who rolls their eyes when someone needs the bathroom. Become the manager who treats crying as drama. Become the owner who sees stress in young faces and thinks they better work harder or they're gone. Or become the customer who got humiliated at your own job all week. Then goes somewhere else and finally enjoys having somebody beneath you. You little fucks. That's how the vampire reproduces. The vampire doesn't merely drink blood. It teaches the drained to go drain someone else. And that's why this problem is bigger than one business, one brand in particular, one restaurant, one hotel, airline, or town. This is a civilizational pattern. A society built on downward domination will always create little masters. People get chewed up by their boss, their bills, and their spouse, their deep loneliness, their dead dreams, their own humiliation. And they go out into the world looking for one place where someone has to smile at them. And there it is. The counter, the drive-through, the call center, the front desk, the teenager in uniform stripped of their identity. The perfect little altar for passing the wound along. And that is why we have to break the spell at the level of culture, not just policy. Because policy matters, yeah. But the culture is the blood supply that keeps the blood bank open where the vampires feast. The customer is always right has become one of the most spiritually diseased sentences in American commerce. It has trained people to mistake purchases for moral authority. No, the customer is not fucking always right. Sometimes the customer is wrong. Sometimes the customer is cruel. Sometimes the customer is acting like a petty tyrant over happy sauce. Sometimes the customer is using a service interaction to feel powerful because the rest of their life makes them feel powerless. And a healthy civilization would not indulge that, would it? Healthy civilization would say, you may be frustrated. You may want your order fixed. You may ask for help. But you do not get to degrade the person helping you. These people are weighted on hand and foot. They don't even have to clean up. And they act like the world is crashing down around them if they don't get the particular number of happy sauce cups that they ask for. If their drink isn't filled all the way to the top, but if it's too far and it comes out that little thing in the middle where you put your straw and goes everywhere, they're mad about that. So you have to perfectly get this little motherfucker. It's fucking bullshit. And that's the line. This is the next artifact. Service is not servitude. 3 artifacts so far. Service can be beautiful and honorable and hell, even sacred. A cook feeding people is honorable. There's nothing wrong with that. A nurse tending the sick, needed, necessary, and honorable. Mechanic fixing the machine, there's honor in that. A host welcoming strangers and trying to get to know them, beautiful and honorable. The worker helping a tired mother get food for her kids, great. The problem is not service. The problem is when service becomes servitude. Dignified service says, I will help you. And you will respect that I'm human. Servitude says, I must help you while pretending your disrespect does not affect me or it even makes me happy. Dignified service has boundaries that we must place in our society. Servitude demands a mask. Dignified service allows the worker to say, please don't speak to me in that way, or I'm not going to help you. Servitude says, smile harder and shut up and get the happy sauce out. That distinction matters because if we do not make it, people will say, oh, so you hate work? You hate customers? You hate restaurants? You just want everybody to be soft? No, motherfucker, shut up. I want people to work without being spiritually degraded. I want customers to get food without being trained in petty tyranny. And I want managers to lead without becoming plantation ghosts in fucking khakis. And owners to understand that if their profit requires fear and humiliation and emotional collapse and pissing your pants, then that business is not fucking healthy and it's gotta go. Is it merely successful in the way that a parasite is? And I want workers to know that their distress is not always a personal failure. Distress is information along with exhaustion, dread, and crying in the break room. Losing your voice from talking all fucking day is information. Along with going numb when you come home from work. So the question is not only, how do I become strong enough to endure this shit so I can pay my damn bills? The deeper question is, why is this being demanded of human beings in the first place? And science backs that question. 2023 meta-analysis on customer mistreatment looked across a large body of service worker research, and it found that customer mistreatment harms workers emotionally, and you can't just purge it out. You can't just change the oil on people like that, like a car. It lowers your job satisfaction, your engagement increases turnover, and affects performance and emotional labor. Translated out of academic priest language, when customers mistreat workers, workers feel worse, care less, burn out faster, and want to escape, sometimes through suicide. Shocking, I know. Like, oh my God, how the fuck is that? Gather the elders, alert the village. Turns out treating people like a disposable sauce goblin is bad for them. Wow, what a fucking revelation. But the reason this research matters is because it breaks the lie that these are just isolated bad moods and people are lazy. It shows a pattern. Customer mistreatment becomes worker depletion, hopelessness, disassociation, turnover. Turnover becomes understaffing. Understaffing becomes worse service. Worse service creates angrier customers. And the wheel keeps spinning. The vampire engine feeds itself. This is why companies cannot keep pretending that they're innocent if they design systems that put workers into endless high abrasion roles with no recovery, no fucking mercy. If you measure drive-through time down to the second, you can measure human depletion. If you track sauce accuracy, you can track crying in the break room. If you track customer satisfaction, you can track worker dread. If you welcome buses, mobs, rushes, an infinite throughput of all of the human hive, then you must staff and rotate and recover the people carrying that flood. Because the worker who's not an emotional shock absorber for unlimited customer throughput is not good enough and get fired. And that is the fourth artifact. The worker is not an emotional shock absorber for unlimited customer throughput. Or people are not shock absorbers for angry mobs. Say it until it becomes normal. Say it until managers feel embarrassed for forgetting that we have souls. Say it until customers hear it before they open their fucking mouths. The worker's not there to absorb every contradiction in the business. The brand promises speed. Customers demand speed. That's what they pay for. The equipment has limits. You can only stick so much bullshit in a fryer. You can only fit so many in the fucking building. Staffing has limits. The human body has limits. The manager says, push. The worker absorbs the gap. That is emotional waste disposal. And it can be tracked and it can be measured. And I invite all of us to do that now. The public dumps its unprocessed frustration and shadow into the service class. And service class is told to compost it into cheerfulness. That's alchemy from hell. So what do? We build a worker dignity protocol. Not, we're a family. Swear to God, every time a fucking workplace says we're a family, somewhere a vampire gets its fangs. I mean a real protocol here, people. A living boundary. A standard that says a worker can remain professional without pretending abuse is acceptable. Is that amicable to everybody? A customer who becomes degrading does not get endless access to your youngest, least powerful person in the room. A manager steps in, an adult, a fucking man, steps in the situation before it becomes a threat, not only after. And workers showing visible distress get a recovery pause without any damn shame. But that can only happen if we know the shape of the beast and what we're even looking at here. People that work outside get water, bathroom relief, man, shade, cooling, protective gear, and rotation. If a job requires constant talking over noise until someone loses their fucking voice, that is not a motivational issue. That is job design. The job requires bright sun and distance vision. Sunglasses are not a fashion rebellion. They're an instrument of work. If workers are scared to use the bathroom because the line is busy and managers resent them for having a bladder and human organs, the system has confused efficiency with bodily domination. If young people are crying in the fucking break room while adults are saying, work harder, then the adults have failed the Bell Lantern test. Power must steward life. Power that feeds on the vulnerable is not leadership, it is vampirism. To all those hard workers out there that have to do what they have to do to stay off the streets, I want to say this. You're not crazy. You're not weak. You're not defective because the job hurts. And you're not immature because endless disrespect makes you tired. You're not unprofessional because you have a soul. And if your body is screaming under the mask, I invite you to listen to it. Don't confuse the mask with your face. Don't confuse the uniform with your name. And don't confuse customer irritation with divine judgment that you're not good enough. Don't confuse your manager's metric with your worth, and do not let the machine convince you that your pain is meaningless. Pain is data, sacred data. Gather it, name it, document it, share it carefully. Protect the younger workers out there. Do not hand vampires a target list before you have leverage. But do not let the truth rot inside you either and kill your soul and take the light out of your eyes. To the customers, I want to say this to you. You're not evil because you're hungry. You're not evil for wanting to have your order right. You're not evil for being frustrated either. But you are responsible for what you do with your frustration, motherfuckers. Service worker is not a priest for your rage. The cashier is not a punching bag. These teenagers at a drive-thru are not your emotional landfill. You do not know if your sarcastic little fucking comment is the 100th cut that kid has went through today. So act like the person helping you is a person, because they are. Your real character appears when someone has less power than you and you decide whether to exploit it or not. Not when you post politics, you fucking retard. Not when you say what side you're on, you idiot. Not when you talk about freedom and you fucking spit on someone when they're just trying to make a living. Freedom starts in the tiny moment when someone is required to be nice to you, and you choose not to abuse that power like a little fuck. And to the owners and the managers of these happiness factories, if your workers are crying in the fucking break room and having a mental breakdown, losing their voices from talking to shitty little customers all day, dreading the rush, and sneaking bathroom breaks so you don't get mad at them, they're afraid of getting written up, and they're collapsing under the weight of your excellent service culture, and your system's speaking. Listen. Don't call it drama or weakness, or it's these kids these days. They're fucking blah, blah, blah. You build or inherited a machine. The machine has outputs. If the output has human distress, the machine needs a redesign. It's not that hard. And it begs the question, is this by design? And to civilization itself, I've got a question for you. What kind of freedom requires millions of people to lie about how they feel for wages that cannot buy stability? Bureau of Labor Statistics says food and beverage serving workers are sitting around the lower end of the wage world. But that's what most of the jobs are. Fast food and counter workers around the mid-teens per hour, maybe $15 an hour, or if you're lucky, $18. Harvard's housing research reports that nearly half of all renter households are cost burdened, spending more than 30% of their fucking income on rent and utilities. So when someone says, just quit, you're free, this is America, I hear a person who's never met the fucking floor. Just quit into what? Just quit into rent? Just quit into car payments? Just quit into a rural job scarcity? Just quit into a country where the land is barren with decent work, even if you have a good college degree, and half the fucking economy seems built around serving people who make slightly more money than them. That is not freedom. That is a hunger with a customer service voice and a fake fucking smile. And that is why I say the modern service industry economy has a psychological slavery shape. No, it's not identical to historical slavery. Everybody calm the fuck down. It's not in the same legal category or the historical wound, but a slave-shaped pattern in the soul. Coerced performance, fear of punishment, losing your house, restricted honesty, economic dependence, and downward domination, baby. A class of people expected to absorb humiliation so others may experience a little comfort and some happy sauce. That language offends people? Good. Maybe it fucking should. Maybe you should have a problem with it. Maybe we should have to be too polite about a machine that's not polite to people inside it. We've been way too polite about it. And maybe the truth has to arrive loaded, hot, and covered in fucking happy sauce. Because a society that can't protect the dignity of workers cannot call itself free by any measure. Society that trains people to dominate downward cannot call itself civilized. When it turns hunger and debt and fear of losing your house into tools of emotional obedience, is not as far from the old world of slavery as we think it is. We did not abolish servitude in the soul. We outsourced it to the fucking market. We put a smile on it. Put sauce on it. We called it opportunity. But the bell lantern says otherwise. The bell lantern asks, what material effect keeps producing suffering? I got that from my accounting friend. Material effect. And the answer is clear. The material effect is a customer sovereignty regime powered by market coercion, enforced through management, disguised as service culture, and paid for by the nervous system of workers everywhere, especially the young ones and the impressionable ones. That is the beast. So carry these artifacts with you. Frequency changes category. The mask has a cost. Service is not servitude. And the worker is not an emotional shock absorber for unlimited customer throughput. A paycheck purchases labor, not humiliation. And no, the fucking customer is not always right. The worker is always human, though. Dignity is a working condition. And when the river comes roaring, the rush, the mob, the bus, the angry faces, the impossible demands, where the fucking fryer can't even keep up. The dead-eyed machinery of happy sauce panic. Be the mossy rock. Not passive or numb or isolated, but sovereign. Where that shit don't move you. You've got the weight of your soul and whatever shit you choose to be growing on you. Let the river roll by without letting it name you, man. Remember your shape. Remember your soul. Remember that the machine is not God. Then gather the others. Find the others, like Terrence McKenna said. But for real, not just all the wide-eyed, crazy hippie people. The others. Name the wound. Build a protocol. Break the vampire stack. Ring the bell lantern. Ask the right questions. Faintest thy. Let it appear, my friends.